What was the hardest case? The person came, the business is nearly to die. No clear picture, no financial planning, no vision for the future. And then you completely shifted everything and now they succeed.
Yeah, and I would say, sadly, that happens more often than not when they end up at my doorstep, and it usually also means that a relationship is failing simultaneously, whether it's with a spouse, significant other, or with children. And that's the one, by the way, that always hits me the hardest, is whenever children are involved. So I can think of several cases where, to your point, there was no hope in sight for the business. How do we get out of this? How do we do something that is not going to devastate everybody, minimize the damage? And one particular case came to mind where the owner of the company, it was not a family business, but the owner of the company who had bought the business was just struggling to make his payments, to meet the note payment on the business. And he was afraid to go back to the person holding the note. He was afraid to go back to his creditors. And I said, believe me, it's a lot easier to deal with that than to have them get a bankruptcy notice and say you're going to get nothing. Let's try and work out a solution where, if we can't pay them something right now, meaning they can't pay them something right now, we come up with a plan that at least they feel like you've got something in the works here that could actually work out and be beneficial to them. When you get a bankruptcy notice and you're the creditor, that means if you're lucky, pennies on the dollar. So in this particular case, we did sit down. I actually sat with the owner of the business and in front of his creditors. We called it one big meeting, and we just sat down and said, look, this is the situation. Doesn't really matter how we got here. It matters how we're going to fix this. And this is the plan as to how we're going to fix this. Most of the creditors were amiable. A few threatened legal action, and I said to them, I want you to really think about that, because at the end of the day, I love lawyers. I get along with many, and they refer me to many different businesses. However, at the end of the day, they will tell you generally the only one who makes out in these situations are the lawyers, because they're going to collect their fees no matter what. So I ask you, for those of you resisting this plan, take a breath, sleep on this for 24 hours, and then ask yourself, am I better to take this deal, even though it's not what you want, versus, nothing? It's the old saying, a hat in the hand is still better than nothing.